you're, let's see, Connie, Aaliya she's what, 3 now?
Yeah, she just turned 3 February 1st.
Okay, alright. Now that video, it was taken when she was what, 2 and a half?
That was, yeah, she was 2 and a half, and it was on June 9th of 2008.
Okay, so you guys have y'all been at this almost a year then?
Yeah.
When would you say the first signs of abuse turned up, or that you knew something was going on with her?
May of 2007, her behavior completely changed towards him. She used to run to him and say, "Daddy, Daddy," all excited, and then all of a sudden she's running away from him.
Okay.
Screaming, digging her nails in our back, pulling her eyelashes out, refusing to go. Yeah. We didn't quite understand what the abrupt change in her behavior was at that point in time. The first time, like, major bruises appeared on her were in mid-July of 2007. It looked like there was a handprint under her right arm. It looked like somebody had grabbed her, and then she had a bruise across her left hip and her left thigh area. It looked like someone had grabbed her and hit her.
Right.
And that was while I had 100% custody, and he was on supervised visitation with his parents as the supervisors. Well, as Aaliya began to talk, she was saying Daddy Owies and Grandpa Owies, and so I don't know technically that time who abused her, so because she wasn't speaking that well at that point in time. But as he gained more custody in November of 2007, he had taken me to court claiming that I was keeping her from him, and because CPS did nothing, he had convinced the court that he had already had 50-50 custody, and we were in front of a new judge who didn't have the background of our case, apparently, and was fooled by his attorney. So he had granted him 50-50 custody at that point in time. She was still breastfeeding. She was still a baby. She had never even been away from me one night, like even with a friend or a family member. She'd never been away from me. And they had 1 week on and 1 week off visitation, and the abuse just got worse and worse. She started coming home with rashes around her mouth. Excuse me. And then her nightmares began really, really bad. She regressed in her potty training. She was afraid of the dark. She kept telling us it's safe when the lights are on, and she became afraid of beds. And at this point in time, I didn't even know it was sexual abuse.
Right.
She just had a lot of weird behaviors, so I started documenting the behaviors, and I started taking her to a psychologist. She started, like, running out of her room, and she would go stand in a corner, and she wouldn't sleep in the bedroom, so I started taking her to Dr. Mitzi May, and did that as often as I could afford it. And she would come home with huge rashes around her mouth, and I would ask him why she has rashes like that, and he would say that it's wintertime at his house, and I'm explaining to him, well, it's wintertime at my house too. Like, I don't understand why she has all these rashes. Well, later on that year, she obviously began speaking better and started explaining that he had served, and she started to stick an object up her vagina in my bathroom one night, and that was the very first clue that I thought he was sexually abusing her.
Now,
so I took her to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician had checked her. Her hymen was intact at that point in time, and so she just, told me to keep her in the mental health, to have her checked out through that. So I kept her seeing a therapist, and eventually in February of 2008, or it was January actually, it was the very, very end of January, she came home with a bruise across her lower back and a bruise across her forehead, saying that Daddy kicked her in the back and she bonked her head on the table. Well, I called CPS, and we went in and had a meeting with CPS. Well, they did absolutely nothing once again. And I had filed a restraining order on him, and during that same week, she was complaining of him hurting her PP. This was when she started making the first disclosures of the actual abuse sexually.
Right.
So from that point on, it just got worse and worse and worse. Between July of '07 and June of '08, there's a total of 11 CPS reports just based on her disclosures and the number of things she's done or bruises that she's come home with.
All right, Connie.
So,
let me ask you a couple questions real quick. Does he have any prior accusations of child abuse?
Do I have any?
No. Does he? Well, either one of you. Yeah, either.
He doesn't. I don't have any.
Okay.
He doesn't have any other children. This is his only child.
Okay. Does he have a documented history of being abused as a child? Was he abused as a child himself?
I don't know if there's documentation of it, but I know he was, and I know that there were holes all in his house. I don't know from who punching holes through, if it was him or his dad, but he's even personally told me stories of him running down the street to get away from his dad when he was younger.
Okay.
So I know his family has a history of abuse. I don't know if any of it's reported. I mean, his mom would say stuff to me like, oh, you know, when he gets mad, I just have learned to just keep my mouth shut. And
Right.
she told me after I moved to Alaska with Aaliya that I have no right to ever take her away from him, no matter what he does to me or her.
Right.
And I just know the symptoms of abuse from being him abusing me myself. So I just know in her behavior and the things that have gone on that it's very present in that family. On top of Aaliya's disclosures of her grandpa hitting her also and how mad he is.
Okay.
So
What? Now you said. I'm trying to backtrack and make sure I've got everything up to speed. Steve Wilco's called on Saturday, and that's the third time they've called. So you're going to do a show with them, is that right?
I'm sorry, what are you asking?
You're going to do the show with Steve Wilco's, is that right? You are going to accept that?
I was going to call them and talk to them because they had just asked me to contact them back. So
Okay.
I don't know what all they're offering to do for me. They just said they wanted to know if they could help me. So.
And then you got Louis Padilla, which was a great contact. I know he's well known, so anything he can do for you as far as getting this story out, he can probably do nothing but help you. So let me let you know what's happened on our end. We've had when I sent this out to all the group members, we got almost 60. The response we got back, Connie, was incredible. And you've seen the blogs and what have you, but the neat thing about this was when we contacted our group leaders, they in turn contacted all their members. So this got into thousands of hands all at once. That's so. I just even if even with the local media coverage you were talking about, where they came out and did the interview, that you're starting to get some attention, and you're probably going to keep getting more and more responses back. And I just got the story. I don't even think it was 2 weeks ago. It was around a week ago. And it just broke my heart, and we jumped right in on it. So, I feel for the little girl more than anything. But the conflicting stories out there with the blog, where he's whoever that is that's coming in talking about the different issues.
Specifically him.
Right.
And his family.
Right. But now you're not on any. You're not on any psychotic drugs or anything like that.
No, not at all. I don't have any history of anything. I've never even smoked a cigarette in my entire life.
Okay.
I've never done drugs. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have any type of history. I don't have a criminal history. I don't have anything. I've only had one ticket in my life for speeding. I don't have any history with anything. He doesn't have anything on me.